Welcome to Season 2 of the Erotic Realm podcast, where we explore the world of eroticism, one erotic realm at a time. I'm Em, a sexologist and kinkster. The mission of the Erotic Realm is to humanize desire in all of its forms, including darker desires. Each episode, we dive deep into the psychology of desire with a sexpert, everyday kinkster, or a kink expert. This is an independent podcast. To support it, please consider becoming a paid subscriber at psychologyofdesire.com, where you'll also find deep dives into desire and surveys that you can participate in. You can also sign up there to get the podcast delivered directly to your inbox when it's released. If you'd like to support the podcast, please consider checking out the brands that support the Erotic Realm. There's Firm Tech, whose tech ring offers fascinating insights into sexual health by tracking erection quality and nocturnal function. Splash Blanket, who create luxurious waterproof blankets designed for comfort, intimacy, and real-life messes. ProDX Health, who offer discreet, at-home STI testing. While Karoo and Lovents make premium pleasure technology, from couple toys to long-distance interactive devices. Then there's Lioness, who are doing something truly unique in sex tech, using biofeedback and orgasm data to help people better understand their arousal. I'm also partnering with Flow and Desire, science-backed libido support supplements designed to support sexual vitality and well-being. These are brands that I find genuinely interesting, science-backed, and I've used them myself, so they come with my recommendation. You can find the links to all of them in the episode description. If you try them, use the links below. It supports the show at no extra cost to you. And now, back to today's conversation. The following conversation explores one of the most influential platforms in modern kink culture. For nearly 2 decades, FetLife has connected millions of people around the world, helping them discover community, education, friendships, relationships, and often themselves. In this episode, I'm joined by FetLife founder John Baku to explore the psychology behind building one of the world's largest BDSM communities. We discuss what inspired FetLife, the challenges of creating a global kink platform, what he's learned about human nature after watching millions of people connect online, and where the future of the community is heading. We also explore why belonging matters so deeply, how online communities can shape identity, and tackle listener questions around trust, moderation, transparency, and community safety. Whether you've been a FetLife member for years now or have only ever heard the name, this episode offers a rare behind-the-scenes look at one of the most influential spaces in contemporary sexuality. Enjoy. Hi everyone and welcome to the Erotic Realm. Today we're exploring the erotic realm of FetLife with its founder John. Welcome, John.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So before we talk about FetLife, could you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what you get up to day to day?
My name is John. Allegedly 19 years ago, I started a site called FetLife. Day to day, I pretty much just work on FetLife. And when I'm not working on FetLife, I'm with my family. I kind of live a really simple life.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of your sexuality, how would you describe your kinky self and your sexuality today?
As opposed to yesterday.
Well, some people are in flux.
Yeah. And I think everybody's in flux to a certain extent. So the reason I started FetLife is because I was never comfortable with who I was sexually. And I never wanted anybody else to feel the way I felt. And at the same time, I also maybe subconsciously believe that if I fixed my issues with my sexuality, that I would not be able to continue on with FetLife because I wouldn't be the right person anymore. Something like that. Mm-hmm. So I am probably the same person I was when I was 14, when I was 18, confused. or not comfortable. Sorry, not confused. Not confused. More like not comfortable.
Mm-hmm. So who was John before FetLife? It was back in 2007, was it, that the idea came to you? Where did the idea come from? And was it a defining aha moment, or was there a series of events that slowly led to you creating the platform? Can you take us into that process?
Oh, geez. I think it kind of takes a lifetime to get to something. Like everybody is where they are because of a lifetime of events and experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So my father's a famous hairstylist. I worked for my father in a hairdressing salon in the 1980s, late 80s, early 90s in Montreal. Majority of my dad's friends were very proud and gay. And the late 80s, early 90s, it was just, I was like the only kid that knew gay people, that talked to gay people, that associated with gay people. It was a different time. And I would listen to their stories. I'd be 12 years old at the lunchroom at my dad's work, because I would wash the towels, and the washing machines and the dryers were in the lunchroom. And I would just be listening to their stories, and I'd ask them questions. And one of my dad's good friends and longtime employees, his name is Mati. He's from Israel. I don't think it matters he's from Israel, but he is. He was like the proudest, most out gay person I ever met at that time. And I can't remember if I asked him the question or somebody else said something to him. And but it just basically came up, and how, if he could choose if he was gay or not, would he do it? I'm saying it wrong, but basically he said no. If he could not be gay, he would choose not to be gay. And I was just shocked. I'm like, dude, you come in every day talking about the things you did the night before, some random person or whatever. You seem like the happiest person in the world. And he's like, no, life would be so much easier if I wasn't. And I was like, kind of shocked, but the way he explained to me, I kind of understood. So I was like, so it was that. Then, I had a long-term girlfriend of 8 years where we were waiting for marriage. And I was always in my head being like, okay, I have these fantasies, I have these things in my head, but I'm waiting till marriage, and I love this girl to death. And the ideas that I have in my head not align with the way I was brought up. It was not aligned with the way I feel towards this woman. And I was like, it got to the point where I was like, if I just cut off my penis, my life would be solved. Everything would be easier. Because, it didn't fit, the way I wanted to live my life. I can't remember what your question is, but what led to it. So I didn't. So after 8 years, we broke up, simply because I just couldn't handle it anymore. Not because I didn't love her. I still think about her every single day. I still have conversations with her in my head every single day, to my wife's chagrin, but I'm a very open person, so she knows. It's not because I want to be with her or anything. It's just she was my first love, and she was my best friend for 10 years. During the most important years of your life. So I'd go back and have conversations in my head with her about rights and wrongs, about how to bring up my daughter or our daughter, all these things that, it's just conversation I had with her. Anyway, it's in my head. So it might not even be the same person. Maybe I'm just talking to myself. Well, I am just talking to myself. So I didn't feel comfortable. We broke up. And I realized one day that, like, I will probably never be able to solve my problem, but I don't want anybody else to ever feel the same way. And I went through some crazy depression. Then I went online, and I saw all of a sudden there was other people out there just like me. I went to IRC or whatever. I'm like, wow, there's other people like this out there. Back when IRC was really popular. I think IRC is still a thing, but I haven't been on it for many, many decades. And then, it's, I tried different things. I tried building dating sites. I tried building I had another site called Friends with Fetishes. I had another site called Baku Boys with sexual documentaries in the gay community. And then just all the different ideas and experiences I had just led up one day to be like, oh shit, I think I finally figured out how to crack this problem to make people feel comfortable with who they are sexually, is by creating a community where others can see people just like them. And I remember in my book on the way home, taking the train home to my parents' house, drawing the different layouts and everything. And I said, okay, I have 3 months to make this happen. I have to do this by January 1st. And yeah, the rest is history.
Wow. So it was solely your idea? You did it alone?
Did somebody tell you otherwise?
No. I'm just curious. I don't know about the creation period. So
like, it's not so simple to say any idea is just your own.
Of course.
Did I bounce the ideas off my best friend? Did I show him screenshots and he'd be like, yeah, that's really cool. But I would do this differently. I don't think any idea is uniquely somebody's.
True.
Everybody's borrowed a little bit and had influence from other people.
But you were working on the creation.
I was the only one who programmed it. I was the only one who designed it. I was the only one who worked on it. Yeah.
And how old were you at this point?
I have no clue. I'm 48 now, minus 19. So I think I was 29.
Yeah. Okay. Fascinating. So at that time, did you have a sense that FetLife would become anything like what it is today?
No. And the goal wasn't for it to become what it is today. I mean, of course, nobody starts something hoping that it'd be a failure. But I remember talking to my best friend over a burger at Elixir, which is a restaurant in Montreal, or Laval, near Montreal. He's like, hey, if you ever get to 20,000 members, that'd be a huge success. You should be very proud of yourself. So that was my goal. It's like, hopefully we'll get to 20,000 members one day.
And for those who may not be aware, approximately how many members are there on FetLife now?
People with accounts, there's over 13 million.
Oh my goodness.
Which I didn't know we passed. I just randomly came across the number the other day. But active monthly people who sign in and take actions on FetLife, it's over 2 million a month.
Wow, incredible. So for anyone listening who might not have visited the site before, how would you describe FetLife and how it is today?
I would just say it's a social network like Facebook, but for the kinky community.
Amazing.
I think that's the easiest way to explain it. Well, how would you define it?
When people haven't heard it, that's exactly what I say. It's like Facebook for kinky people. Yeah. And it's a place to find a sense of belonging and to see all of the weird and interesting and wonderful things that people are into. And no matter what you're into, you can find it on there. Yeah. So creating software is one thing, but creating an online community is obviously something completely different. Were there particular principles or values you wanted FetLife to be built around from the very beginning?
So I find that all principles are I believe that the online world can learn a lot from the in-person world. So for instance, one of the early decisions we made is that I was at a coffee shop working on it, on FetLife, and I was like, okay, here people can message each other. I'm like, okay, but I can see if I allow people to message as many people as they want, that it's not going to be healthy. So right. I said to myself, okay, like when I've been to clubs, when I've been to bars, when I went into coffee shops, what's like the most amount of people somebody can kind of talk to, in a night without looking like a complete douchebag? And I came up with the number, I think it was 5 or 7 originally. I think it was 7. And I said, you know what? We're going to make it so that you cannot message more than 7 non-friends every 6 hours, because anything more than that at a night at a club would be too much. So that was one of the principles. The other thing just comes from, another one just comes from just the way I was brought up. My parents were always, do the right thing. And that's our number one core value at FetLife, and something that all employees talk about that they're so proud of, is that we always focus on doing the right thing. We don't focus on, money, finances, numbers. We always talk about what's the ethical right thing to do, and not just the first order consequences, the thing that makes us look good, but what are the second, more importantly, what is the second and third order consequences of any decision we make? Does that mean we get it right every time? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Mother Teresa didn't get, everything she decided right the first time either. But our goal is always to do the right thing, even if it takes us multiple iterations.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious to hear, what lessons about human psychology did building FetLife teach you that perhaps surprised you or you weren't expecting?
I don't know if it taught me, I'm sure it taught me a lot of things, but I think the probably the most difficult part of FetLife was I lived a very sheltered life growing up.
Mm.
Went to a small private high school, um, where there was like no drama, no fighting. Everybody's super nice to each other. It was kind of weird for me to see how certain people treated each other. I didn't get it at first. I was like, why are people being so mean to each other?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And I never got mad at people for it or whatever, but it always really confused me and hurt me. And I was always like, but I often realized something that one of my old best friends from Montreal taught me was that everybody's perfect. And at first I was like, this is the dumbest shit ever, Steven.
Yeah, explain, please.
Not everybody's perfect. He's like, no, everybody is perfect. And it took me weeks. We'd meet every Sunday for breakfast with another one of my best friends. And for weeks I'd be like, Steven, you're an idiot. You're just a hippie. And then eventually it just hit me. The way he said it is that, like, everybody does what they have to do to survive. So, people are perfect in the sense that, let's say something really bad happened to somebody. That person then has certain trauma. So when certain situations happen, they react a certain way. Even though those things, the way and I'm not saying people with trauma react in a bad way or whatever, but let's say the way they react is very bad towards something, towards a person who's a good person or whatever, or has no malintent. That person who reacted that way is perfect. They reacted that way because of what happened to them. So that's what he meant by perfect. It's not that everybody does the right thing for society, but everybody's perfect in the sense that they react and behave in a way that's perfect based on their life experiences.
Like there's a meaning behind their actions. It's not just random.
Yeah. Another saying that I love is there's no such thing as random.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, another tradition on the podcast is exploring a quote with you, and the quote kind of resonates with what we're speaking about here. So it's from the American psychologist Carl Rogers, who is one of the founders of humanistic psychology. And he once wrote, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." So do you think that community plays a bigger role in this self-acceptance that allows people to then have these experiences that allow them to change and have a sense of belonging more than people realize?
Oh, geez, that's deep. I was going to completely flip that, because from a builder's perspective, what I was going to say is that because a lot of times people are like, if only society was this way, or if only people were this way.
Right.
I find that the best work that people do is when they accept society and people for the way they are. As opposed to wishing things were a different way. You can only truly solve a problem when you just accept things and people and reactions for what they are.
So how do you think about FetLife today? Do you see it as a social network, a community, an educational platform? all of the above or something else?
I would say all the above. It's kind of more like a social utility that allows people to create, participate in communities. Because I wouldn't say FetLife is one community; it's a bunch of communities, and sometimes they interact together, sometimes they don't, sometimes they get along, sometimes they don't. The different communities, and I wouldn't. It's and it's a place if you're curious where you can also learn a lot. You get out of things what you put in. So each person, FetLife is something different to each person, and to each person at different times in their life. So sometimes for some people, it's purely educational. Then it's making friends. Then it's finding a life partner. Then it's finding one night stands or whatever you. It's the thing that I love about FetLife is that, especially after 19 years and some people who've been there for 19 years, you see how it's served people or been there for people at different times in their lives when they needed it. And it served different purpose.
So as the platform has grown, how has your vision evolved? Has it changed at all?
No, I don't think so. Our mission has always stayed the same. I know you said vision, but our mission has always stayed the same, which is to help people feel comfortable with who they are sexually. I don't think the vision per se has. I think 80% of the vision has stayed the same. It's the 20% that's changed, and it's changed based on. I think the core has always been the same.
Can you speak to that 20%? I'm curious.
Yeah, sure. When I first started FetLife, I don't even think the iPhone was out yet, was it? Or the iPhone came out shortly after, but there was no apps, and people really didn't use their phone to surf the web really that much. They had a flip phone. It's so I think as technology has evolved, then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, the site needs to be responsive. It needs to work both on a mobile and desktop. I'm sure when I first visualized FetLife, I did not visualize a mobile version because there was no such thing. Or there was, but it was just, the browser for the phone was nothing compared to what it is now. So those are the things that are kind of like different. When we first built the activity feed, it was just and still to a certain extent, it was just a sequential list of like, hey, person A did this, person B did this, and then timeline. And then you see companies like Facebook where it's not sequential anymore. They use they have algorithms that help put the things that they believe to be most important to you at the top of the feed. So because of technology, because of different influences, it's like, oh shit, okay, maybe initially I visualize a sequential feed, but in the perfect world, and if it was possible, and if we could finally build a feed that was a smart, that that was able to adjust and know what your interests were and who you want to speak to and what you're interested in seeing. So it gave you things in a non-sequential order. I mean, that would be amazing. But we're not there yet. Stuff like that. But I don't consider those core. Yes, the activity feed is core, but it's just a iterative improvement over the activity feed.
So how do you decide which features get built and which don't? What's that creative process like for you?
I wish I had much of a say anymore. Before it was just me, and I would listen to the community and hear what they had to say and build things. Then over time, it was less and less me, and other people on the team were just really passionate about things, and I'd hear them out. and I'd give my 2 cents and be like, hey, I don't know if this is a good idea, but you know what, you can try. Or, hey, this sounds like a great idea, but double check with the community, double check with the team. So I still talk about these things, but we have other people who push them and push the ideas. I'm more of a sounding board. I'm more of a giving different perspectives, making sure people check with the community, make sure that people continue to iterate and listen to the community. A big part of FetLife, and I think is very different than a lot of other sites, is that we listen a lot to the community. And once we ship something, if there's issues the next day, the same day, the next day, the day after, we were constantly fixing, iterating over things based on the feedback we get.
Mm-hmm. So how big is the team behind FetLife?
I can't tell you the exact number, but it's about 40. And it's not because I'm hiding anything from you, but I just don't know if it's 38, 41. It's something like that.
Amazing. So what would you say has been the hardest leadership lesson you've learned from running FetLife?
Still learning those. Managing people is not, you talk about like managing a team, or you talk about leadership from like leading the community?
Both.
Okay. So let's start with first the team. We're very fortunate to have an amazing team of good people that don't have really malintent. They really want what's best for the community. But managing people is not easy. You can't just assume that they know everything and that they're just going to know what is in your head or what to work on. And it just takes a lot of communication, especially in a remote environment. Everybody loves remote work, and I don't think I'd ever go back to in-person work. But there's a huge overhead to remote work for communication. You know, people can't just overhear you talking to somebody else at your desk. You can't like just look at somebody and see their smile or frown or whatever it is and kind of get a feel for what's going on around you. So with time zones and stuff, it takes a lot of communication. And I find it frustrating because, you know, as an engineer, designer, it's so much more fun to be working on the project itself than to just communicate.
Right.
And even though I don't spend much time communicating, but I should spend more time communicating. The biggest lesson from a community perspective, I think it's something I learn all the time, or I continue to learn it, but I learn it less often, which meaning I'm correcting, but I still make the mistake sometimes, where it's like you think you know what the community wants, you think you know how they feel about something, and you don't usually, or you don't always, or there's subtleties that you're completely missing. So at first, you know, I would make assumptions and then be like, shit, I should have asked the community. You know, but it's not to say I didn't ask the community. It's just like I didn't ask the community as much as I should have. And we still make that mistake sometimes, but we make it way less.
And where are you asking the community? Is it on your own private page? Is there a particular group where you reach out to people, or does that change?
It's usually on my profile or our firm Ron's profile where he's asking it. I'm super loving it. And people might be like, but you should be asking in FetLife announcements because everybody gets it, you know? But at the end of the day, we don't need to hear all X million people's feedback to really get a good sense of how people feel. You only need to really hear a couple dozen people. And then you start to see repeating patterns. And then you're like, oh, okay, we got to fix this. So yeah.
So one of the traditions on the podcast is also exploring a piece of research with you. And today's research is from Ellison and colleagues, and they explored why online communities become so important to people in their paper, The Benefits of Facebook Friends, Social Capital, and College Students' Use of Online Social Network Sites. This is the paper from quite a while ago. And they found that online communities don't simply help people communicate, but similar to your experience with FetLife, they found that online communities increase people's sense of belonging, reduce isolation, strengthen identity, and help people build meaningful social connections that they may never have found offline. So
Agreed.
I feel like we've covered a lot of that already. I suppose what I want to ask you about this is, do you think the need which leads people to come to FetLife has changed at all over the last 2 decades? Because the kink community itself has gone through a lot of changes. It's become a lot more popular. When I first went on FetLife in 2008, I remember I was one of the youngest. There was lots of leather people on there. And so the demographic has changed a lot. Do you see people coming to FetLife for different reasons than what they did 2 decades ago, or has it stayed pretty much the same, would you say?
That's a good question. And I'd love to say that I have the answer to it, but I don't
What's
know
your
if I have
feeling?
so a feeling I can have, but I don't have a scientific answer.
Of course.
So I think it depends, and it's very depending on culture, depending on the family you grew up in, depends where you live. You know, some people grow up in beautiful, I don't think this is right or wrong, but some people grow up in a very like open family with open friends, and people accept and talk about different their sexuality, and everything's accepted. So those people, you know, might not join because they don't feel comfortable with who they are sexually, but they might want to find other people who are like them. And then there's other people who grew up in a different type of family where there was nobody like them in their family and their friend group, and they feel like all alone, and they want to see if there's anybody out there, whether they feel broken and they don't believe that there's anybody out there like them, and they join FetLife and they see that there's others like them and they're not alone. And when you feel not alone, you know, your happiness increases, depression decreases. Nothing's worse than feeling like you're all alone. I think. I mean, I'm sure there's things that are worse, but it's an expression. So I think different people join for different things, but the community has changed. I remember back in the day, because I was never really big into the kink community. It's not like I went to events or anything. I always stayed pretty much to myself. But I felt that, like within the gay community, and yes, also within the kink community, that people were way more accepting of each other and their differences, and we celebrated each other's differences. And right now, my biggest fear is that people are very judgmental and don't, for some odd reason, want other people to accept who they are, but want to judge other people. You know, everybody does things for different reasons. And as long as it's between consenting adults, and they're not hurting anybody else, we shouldn't judge. We should ask questions. We should be curious.
So your wish for FetLife is that people are more tolerant of differences, and
my wish for society.
Questions. Yes.
It's not a FetLife thing. I don't know if I'm Canadian. I don't live in the States, never lived in the States. But, you know, just looking at politics, the news, all I hear is about everybody who disagrees with each other.
Yeah.
And usually I start every conversation with people that think they're disagreeing with me about something. Like, even if like I'm going to get into a phone call with another engineer, and I usually start with my conversation with like, hey, let's first focus on what we agree on. Because I bet you we agree on 80 or 90% of things.
Right.
And, you know, usually right away, they're like, yeah, we probably do agree on most things. All right, let's discuss it. And then we agree. And then all of a sudden, the last 5, 10, 15% that we disagree, it's nothing. It's not really important. And, you know, there's some people who love Trump. There's some people who hate Trump. I guarantee if those people sat together And they first just said, let's not discuss anything we disagree with. Let's just let's just talk about what we agree on. That people would better understand each other and better be more accepting of each other.
Yeah. Oh, that's really beautiful. That's a beautiful way of looking at the world too. And what a great approach in business and in life in general. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
I don't think we're very different as people.
Yep.
And it kind of disgusts me when people lose their family and stop talking to their family just because they voted X way, or they decide to live their life a certain way. It might not be for you, and you don't need to live your life that way. But I think we can all learn. I think we can all learn a lot from. We can learn more from our. But we can learn what we can do with respect to our differences is learn a lot. And even though I have difference of opinions with a lot of people, I find talking about them so interesting, so fascinating, because I get to learn from different people and be like, oh shit, I never thought about that perspective. Or that's interesting. Now I understand more the way you are. I don't think it's bad. I disagree with it. I don't believe it's best for me or my family or whatever it is. But I completely understand why you chose what you chose.
Yeah. And in a way, that's what this podcast is about. It's about people sharing their different perspectives and me just giving a platform for people to answer questions about themselves in the hope that someone listening will, have more understanding of their way of being and their desires. So I totally agree with that message. Thank you.
Sorry, I just hit me. It's like 40, it's almost an hour later. But when we first got on the call, you told me it was 6 a.m. for you?
I got up at 6 a.m., yes. So it's almost 8 a.m.
Okay, all right. So I'm like, damn, that's early, because it's 7 p.m. for me. Okay.
I'm on Indochina time.
All right.
Yes. Okay, so I asked my listeners what they would like me to ask you, and there were hundreds of responses, hundreds. So I've done my best to distill them into the three main themes that were shining through all of the questions. So one of the biggest themes was around community safety. So many community members feel that dangerous or repeatedly reported users sometimes remain active on the platform. And they were curious to know, how do you approach balancing due process with community safety, and what improvements are being made to better protect users?
So you're probably not going to like most of my answers. So a couple things.
Yep.
One is, just because somebody has been reported a lot of times, it doesn't mean that they've done anything wrong or that they're bad people.
Right.
So I don't think being reported is a metric to be used for if something should happen to the person or not. Because sometimes it's just, we see it all the time. It's just an ex or disgruntled friend or whatever, a love triangle that went wrong, where people just report every single picture, every single writing, because they're upset with the other person. And like we emphasize with their pain, and we're like, yeah, you're going through a lot of pain, but like, I'm sorry, like, they didn't do anything wrong. When it comes to safety, I think it's very important for everybody to understand is that there's no way to guarantee safety, and there's really no such thing as safety. Everything is kind of shades of gray. I would never tell my daughter, hey, the light just turned green. There's a little the walking person on the crosswalk turned green. Don't look left and right before you cross the street. So it's more safe, but it's not perfectly safe. We can't guarantee safety. You still have to follow your intuition. Sorry, not your intuition. Follow your gut. If something doesn't feel right, then don't do it. Some people sometimes message me when they join sites like, hey, do you have any feedback for me? And usually my feedback is not feedback, but they ask me for my advice. And usually it's like, hey, First of all, there's no such thing as right and wrong. It's what's right and wrong for you. Mm-hmm. So you got to figure out what's right and wrong for you, and you got to stay true to yourself. Don't let anybody convince you that you're right and you're wrong is wrong. Mm-hmm. And that's okay, because there's other people whose right and wrong will better fit that person anyways, so stay true to yourself and always trust your gut. Mm-hmm. If the situation doesn't feel right, don't force it.
Yep.
If you're like, hey, and this applies to Tinder, this applies to somebody you met on the street, this applies to somebody you work with for 10 years. If your gut's telling you not to meet with this person, or, to follow certain, like it's saying like, hey, you know what, let me, set up a something with my best friend and say, hey, if I don't message you by this time, check my location and send the cops or whatever it is. The reason why I'm saying these things is because my daughter started dating, and she's meeting people on. I don't like when people say it's our daughter, but not our you and me. It's ours is in my wife and I, and we had to sit down with our daughter and discuss like, hey, when you meet with these people, we're pretty sure that the chances are these people are all nice people. They're all good people, but there is a small chance that they're not. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do to set yourself up for success?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, okay, I'll message my best friend and I'll do a check-in call at X time, and okay, great. I'll make sure that I don't turn off my Find My. So if anybody if you need to find me, you can find me. So it's. But we started the conversation with like, no, yeah, like everybody's good. Like majority of people are good. Don't just assume because we're focusing on the negative that these people are negative. No, go in with the best of intentions. I'm sure most of these people are good, and most people are having the same thoughts as you. They're like, oh shit, the person they're meeting, aka my daughter, might be crazy, might be bad, maybe this. Mm-hmm. But the majority of people are good. But when it comes to, I'll put in some words that you didn't say that I hear many people talk about on site is
sure.
Oh shit, it starts with P. Not perpetrator.
Predator.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've had so many conversations with members being like, okay, what is a predator to you? And quite often I don't really get an answer. It's like, oh, this person messages people. I'm like, okay, what's wrong with messaging people? The person's maybe lonely. We can only go so far. And at the end of the day, when it comes to things that happen offsite or things happen on other messaging platforms or whatever, we can't really protect you. Mm-hmm. The only way to protect other people in society is not to blast them on the site. It's to go to the cops.
Right.
And we will help you go to the cops. Here's information. Contact the NCSF. Here's a page you can share with the cops that they know how to get into contact with us and what information we have available for them. Mm-hmm. But what I usually tell people, when people would be like, hey, like I just want to protect people. I'm like, how about my daughter? What are you doing to protect my daughter? And they're like, what? I'm like, what the fuck are you doing to protect my daughter? What do you mean? I mean, she's not on FetLife. How are you protecting her? And they're like, I'm like, she can't see your post. Okay. If my bar is how you protected my daughter. And the only way to protect my daughter is if you go to the cops. Mm-hmm. So if this person really is as bad as you say they are, if this person did, because usually they don't say what they did, or it's usually just stuff like predator. But if this person did sexually assault you, which I believe people like go to the cops, and this way the cops can investigate. And if the person did a bad thing, then my daughter is protected, and so is every other woman out there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only way to truly solve it. It sucks. It fucking sucks. But just allowing people to blast people online makes you feel good, but does not protect anybody. So, and I've been doing this also long enough to see also where people will show a very small part of a conversation, and then when the full conversation is reported to us and we look at it, we're like, holy crap, this is not what happened.
Right.
It's not even close to what happened. Like the person who's complaining about it, I'm not saying all cases, but the person who is going crazy is the person who started it. Or they're not telling you that they used to date the person for 3 years secretly. There's all these different stories that I'm like, oh my God. It's but again, it's not all people. It's a very small amount of people that feel this way. I know a lot of beautiful women who are members of FetLife who are just like, John, I've never gotten any of these things that other people are saying.
Right.
You know, they're saying that are getting 30 times a day, 40 times a day. Like I don't know how it is. And then we've gone and we've seen people be like, yeah, I get 30 emails of this, that a day. And then we go look at their reports and they've never reported anything. And then we're like, do they even get 30 emails a day? Oh no, they don't. They get 1 email a day. Huh? It's a weird phenomenon.
Yeah. I imagine you see all sorts of insights into human psychology.
Yeah, it's like, but again, everybody's perfect. I don't blame them.
Yeah.
So if one person's saying X happened to them, another person might say, oh, that happened to me too, because they want to feel part of the group.
Right.
But that thing never happened to them. I can't confirm what happened or didn't happen in person. I was never there. But what I can confirm is things that happen on FetLife.
Right.
So we'll go and look, and I'll be like to the caretaker, like, oh shit, we got to look into this, man. This happened to them. And then they look into it and they do a report for me. And I'm like, oh, this did not happen at all. Or this did not happen at all. Like they made it sound like it's not even close. It's quite the opposite. That person was that person attacked the other person or whatever. So I don't know how we would be able to protect people more than we already do. But people, it's a weird thing. Back when I was young, I don't know how old you are, is that people had to be responsible for their own protection. We didn't rely on other people to say, okay, this other person is responsible for protecting me. No, we had to make good choices. And I think that, yeah, like we don't allow sex offenders on FetLife. Like if somebody is a registered sex offender or did something that would put them on the registered sex offender list, if somebody is going through a court case that would land them on the registered sex offender list, we lock their account out until the trial's over.
Right.
And if they end up being found guilty, we remove their profile. If not, we give them back their profile. And I know cases are not perfect and not always, the decision in the court case is not always perfect, but it goes both ways. But it's the system. And if you want to fix the system, the best way is to fix the system. It's not to rely on FetLife to say, hey, you be different. Because we've had these conversations with so many organizations, so many people, and I've always been like, okay, but we can do more. We can do more. Help me brainstorm. And they're like, no, John, you guys are doing great stuff. It's just like, and the deeper we go, it's like, oh shit, it's a double-edged sword, because you go stricter and people who didn't do anything wrong would really get caught up in it. And not everybody's honest or truthful or remembers things correctly.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a double-edged sword. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, you did. Yeah, very deeply. So thank you for sharing that and allowing people to hear more about the process behind.
I do want to say I empathize with everybody in pain. Everybody's pain is real. And some people will message me and say, hey, this happened. And I'll even help them and be like, hey, what did they do? They did all these things. I'm like, no, none of those things are bad. Like, here's like, did they do this? Did they do that? Can you find me something where they did this? And to go around a block or something. Like I'll sometimes help people to create a case for themselves, but I'm not going to just because somebody messages me and is going through pain and I have huge empathy for them, it doesn't mean I'm just going to do something. At the end of the day, I have to always be, and the whole team has to be impartial and just do the right thing based on what evidence we have. It's the hardest thing for a lot of new caretakers who join the team, and nobody's new has joined in a long time. It's the caretakers would have huge empathy and be like, okay, we got to delete this person's profile, this and that. And then I'd be like, okay, let's say you were a cop and this was the real world and you did this and you infringed on somebody's rights. How would that, and somebody infringed, sorry, I wouldn't say they were the cop. I'd say, hey, let's say if a cop did this, it's like, oh my God, I hate cops, they're abuse of power. And I'd be like, motherfucker, sorry, I hope.
No, swearing's fine. Swearing's fine. Go for it.
I'm like, motherfucker, that's exactly what you want to do. Like, no. And I'm like, yeah, you can't, you have to, like, we have the power. So we have to be very, 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 very careful how we use it. We have to always do the right thing. And we can never, ever, ever abuse our rights.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it sounds like you've put a lot of thought and action behind how you approach these things. And I think that's what people wanted to hear, that we're confused about what goes on behind the scenes. So thank you for speaking to that so deeply. I appreciate it.
Some of these people, I don't know if they're confused. I think they just want what they want.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some of that too.
I saw the thread.
Oh, yeah. That was a long thread. So another question that I hadn't considered until reading the comments was about digital legacy. So if a FetLife member passes away, is there currently a way for a family member or trusted person to have their profile either removed or memorialized?
So if you want, like, the whole thing is we don't know what the person who unfortunately passed away wants, their desires, right? So again, it's one of those things where, like, oh, like, it seems like the right thing to do. They say that they were partners, and then I'm like, wait a minute, were they?
Yeah.
Were they on good? Were they on good terms? Did they have two partners, and there might be some fight between it? So the way we look at it is like, hey, if you wanted your partner to do something to your profile or somebody to do something to your profile when you passed away, you would have left them your username and password.
Yeah.
And if they didn't, the person who has authority is whoever's the executor of your will.
Right.
If you can prove that you're the executor of the will, you have access to the account.
And what about, how on Facebook they do like in memoriam? Is that something that FetLife could do in the future? Because a few people
it's definitely something we wanted to do, but we haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Just also remember that Facebook knows people's real names.
True.
We don't.
Right.
So I'm assuming what Facebook does, and I don't know exactly how it works, is that imagine it works in one of two ways. One is that you link them to the oh my God, I'm sorry, I've been hitting the head way too many times. The obituary.
Yes.
You check out the obituary, everything lines up, and you're like, oh, okay, it's the same person. We can put them in memoriam. I can see them doing it another way, is that if they haven't checked in for X amount of time, just assume they passed away. But I know that's the way it works. I'm sure it works more about obituary. In our case, yes, there might be some cases in obituaries where we'll be able to make the connection, but definitely not in all cases. Definitely not in a lot of cases. We don't have people's full name.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
But we should. We should do it. We just don't have that feature yet.
So how would you do it?
That's a good question, because I can see not much I think would change on the profile, right? Because I've heard of cases, and I think it's beautiful, where it's like, my partner passed away 5 years ago, but I still message them every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, man, that's beautiful. Or I write on their wall, or I go check out the pictures. So, and I comment on them, or I do this or do that. And it's like, I probably wouldn't limit a lot of things, but maybe say that the person passed away, or probably the best way to do it is just give people the option. By people, I mean the person who passes away. They can go into their settings section probably and say, hey, when I pass away, I want my account deleted, or I want to put in memoriam. And if it's in memoriam, maybe there's certain things that would be like, hey, only allow the main profile page, or hey, no, allow anything. But yeah, you shouldn't be able to send a friend request. You probably shouldn't be able to follow the person. But you should still be able to maybe message them. It's not so easy, because as soon as I think I have all the answers, and my ego's not big enough to say I do, but once I'm like, oh, that sounds great, within 5 seconds I'm going to ask somebody else, and they're going to be like, oh, or we're going to, not somebody else, but usually on FetLife, like, oh, but I do this, and I'm like, oh my god, I never thought about that. So what I've learned over time is just you don't need to make things complicated. But did they tell you what they would like in memoriam? Like, what did they hint to what they would have liked?
No, it was, it was just, I think they've obviously seen the version on Facebook and just thought about that on FetLife. And because they don't know the procedures and the practicality of it, they didn't go into that, I'm guessing. So yeah, it's really interesting to hear your thought process behind that one.
So just to be clear, everything I said cannot be used against me in the court of law, meaning like these were my initial thoughts.
Yeah.
They're not fleshed out, but this is something that we've heard people ask for a very long time. We have to eventually get to it. We should get to it. And when we do, we'll dig deeper.
So let's look ahead now. So what other features would you like to implement on FetLife, or what else do you envision for FetLife, say, in 10 years' time?
I believe FetLife is like 5% of what it could really be.
Wow.
I believe that it's only at its infancy. And now with the advent of AI, and really good AI, what we only dreamed about possible to do, we can do, right? Because back in the day, you might have to have 3 engineers focus on something for 9 months, and you're like, wow, we cannot afford to do a project that big. And now all of a sudden it takes 1 engineer 3 days to do. So we think that there's huge opportunities, but it's not like one specific thing. It's just improving a lot of things.
Right.
Back in the day, we would have had to hire somebody or researchers or PhDs to be able to come up with a kinky quiz or a BDSM test or kinky test or whatever. And now with AI, you can sit there and say, hey, we want a quiz that tests for this, that does this. And it helps you come up with some ideas. So it's like all of a sudden there's things that are possible. The things that are possible that we never thought possible. Oh my God, that doesn't make sense. So yeah, it's nothing juicy, but I see huge. FetLife will change a lot in the next year or two, I believe.
Okay.
Or improve a lot in the next year or two.
Well, that's exciting. So what advice would you give someone who's just discovered FetLife? Maybe there's someone who listens to this podcast and after hearing you speak, they're thinking about signing up for the first time, but they're feeling a bit nervous about joining. What advice would you give that person?
I can easily tell you not to be nervous, but they're your feelings. But that everybody else who joined FetLife felt exactly the same way when they joined. They were nervous. They were scared. They felt all alone. You don't have to share anything you don't want to have to share. You don't have to say anything. You don't even have to say anything. What I recommend you do is you just join, check it out, look around, follow your gut, see what interests you, and then go from there and take your time. If it takes you 6 months before you speak to speak to a first person or even 2 years, that's okay. You got to go at your own pace. You got to go at what makes you comfortable. There's no right and wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when you do speak to people, stay true to yourself. Don't compromise who you are, your values for anybody. There's no right and wrong. There's just right and wrong for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if that person is not right for you, that's okay. There is somebody else out there for you.
Mm.
You know, you don't force it.
Well said. So is there anything else I haven't asked you about FetLife or your experience creating it that you'd like to speak to?
No.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
No.
I feel like I need to have an answer, but I don't have an answer.
No, you don't. I'm just checking in case there was something else on your mind that you felt like we didn't get to. So if there's not, that's great.
As soon as we hang up, I'm sure.
It's always the way. Mm-hmm. Well, finally, if you had to describe FetLife in one word and one word only, what word would you choose and why?
Oh, geez.
It's a hard one.
Home.
Home? Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. When you sign up, it says welcome home for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
FetLife feels like home for many people. Feels like where they're accepted and where they're understood.
Beautiful.
It's not for everybody, but for those who it's for, it's really it's where they found their crew, where they found their, oh God, what's the word? Their people.
Mm-hmm.
Posse. No, it's a word like that.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I like home, and that's again. It fits the way I was brought up, and you know, I was always brought up that being part of a Greek family, it's all about creating some place that people feel comfortable and feel home and feel warm, and that's what I want to bring to other people.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Well, John, thank you for joining me today. So whether someone has been on FetLife since the beginning or only just discovering it, I hope this conversation has given them a deeper appreciation for the thinking, challenges, and vision behind one of the most influential platforms in the kink community. And yeah, thank you for taking us into the erotic realm of FetLife today. And thank you for creating FetLife, because this podcast wouldn't exist without it. So thank you.
Well, thank you for appreciating it, and thank you for being a member, and thank you for having me. And thank you for also doing this podcast.
Thanks again. I'm Em, and this has been the Erotic Realm Podcast. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Erotic Realm Podcast. This is an independent podcast, and if you want to see more episodes made just like this one, you can support it at psychologyofdesire.com by becoming a paid subscriber and entering the realm with many other supporters. The mission of the Erotic Realm is to humanize kink and desire in all of its forms, and we can't do that without you. So until the next time, stay perverted.